I'm Sandy Atkins. I'm the Deputy Director of Athletics here at Troy University, and I'd like to welcome you on behalf of our department to the campus of Troy University today. Thank you all so much for joining us. It looks like a great crowd of Troy supporters from the community, a great media presence, and then our internal constituents. Thank you all for being here today. It's an important day in the history of Troy athletics, and we're certainly glad that you guys are here to share that with us and enjoy the day for a special announcement. So with that, I'd ask Senator Gerald Dial, President Pro Tem of the Board of Trustees, to come forward.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, and thanks for the great job you do. Before I say a whole lot, let me update you. As many of you know, one of our board members, Charles Nayland, has recently had bypass surgery. He's in Birmingham. Talked to him yesterday, and I want to report to you that he's doing very well. So please keep him in your prayers. We have board members with us today. Gibson Vance, stand up. Mayor Earl Johnson, stand up. And Ms. Carter, stand up. These people, along with a lot of board members, do a great job, and thank y'all for being part of it. It's a great day. It's a great day here at Troy. We've had a lot of great days lately, and we're going to continue to have them. Today is something we're very excited about. You know, we may be the only Division I school in America that's hired a new football coach, a new basketball coach, and a new AD in 1 year. So I would say this to Dr. Hawkins: you're earning your pay. But it is a great day. We've had great success at this university, and we're going to continue with the leadership from Dr. Hawkins and the other board members. But it's a great day here today and to celebrate our new AD that's coming on board. All of us, I know, if you know him like we do, you're as enthusiastic as we are about where we're going and where Troy is today. I was just upstairs, and I'm going to let out a secret, and somebody's going to get me. They were just talking about we're going to put new turf on the field. So when you come to the stadium this fall, you're going to see a new turf on the field. A new example of Troy continuing to move forward. And Dr. Hawkins, I may have let the cat out of the bag, but if I did, just fire me. It is great to be here, and it's my opportunity today to bring to you a person who you don't need an introduction. But I've known this gentleman way before he came to Troy, and I've watched him and Ms. Hawkins lead not only when they were in Talladega, but the great leadership he's provided here. And nowhere in America or anywhere else has a university had the great leadership that we've had. We're here today with the leadership and the accomplishment we have today directly responsible for Dr. Jack Hawkins. So Dr. Hawkins, please come forward.
Thank you, Senator Dial. We couldn't pay you enough to express to you how much appreciation we have for you. Thank you. Appreciate all the trustees being here, and all of you. What a great turnout. And we're going to have to stop meeting like this. I think we've done this 3 times in the last 6 months, and thank you, Jeremy, for making this all necessary today. It's a real pleasure to have Jeremy back home again. We sent him over to Southern Miss, and I wanted to remind him that the gentleman we'll introduce today, he actually introduced to my wife Janice and to me on September the 17th, 2016. And I might remind you what happened that night. We beat Southern Miss. Of course, he was wearing his cardinal that night. I did notice that. Well, I want to thank Senator Dial. He played a prominent role on our search committee. It was a small group. I want to thank Jeff Coleman. Not only is Jeff a member of our foundation board of directors, but a great supporter of Troy University, and both he and his wife hold degrees from this institution. We're proud of him, and we're also proud of a gentleman who is not here, but is in the process of retiring from the Sun Belt Conference, and that's Commissioner Carl Vinson, who there has been no greater friend to Troy University outside this institution than Carl Vinson, and I really appreciate him and the 7 years that he gave the Sun Belt Conference and what that meant. We literally went from one rung of the ladder to the middle of those rungs during that period of time, and we're really proud of what we've been able to accomplish together as a conference but certainly under his leadership. I'd be remiss, too, if I didn't, one, welcome Jeremy home, but also to introduce to you a gentleman that has had a mentor role with Brent and a friendship role, and had so many kind things to say about Brent and as Brent was going through this process, and it's Tommy Mcclellan. Tommy, he was the athletic director at La Tech. So, Tommy, welcome to Troy. We often say that once you walk these hallowed grounds, you're a Trojan, so we may claim you from this point forward. But I know La Tech is proud of your leadership. You know, this year we celebrate 110 years of athletics at Troy University. Think about the storied past that we enjoy. And I know some of you are familiar with this story, but I look and I see Chip Lindsey, and the day that we introduced Chip was the day, Jeremy, we reminded of Chip of the first year of Trojan football, and we went with an unblemished record that year. We tied Union Springs twice, and then we beat a private school 6-0, and I challenged Chip to repeat that record, and he was smart enough. When he spoke, he got the best of me. He said, well, if you'll let me play Union Springs, we will. But we've had a great history at Troy University, and it's because of its people. You know, and as I look back and I think about the athletic directors, certainly that I've had the privilege of working with, we've had 9 in the history of Troy University, only 9. And they, Earl Watson, and some of you, Nick, those of you who've been here a long time remember all these names. Earl Watson, Billy Atkins, Robert Earl Stewart, Red Williams, Dr. Ken Blankenship, Johnny Williams. And I thought I'd wrecked our football program when I appointed Johnny. He was the defensive coordinator. And I thought, what have I done? You know, but he turned in just like he had been a great defensive coordinator. He also became a great AD, and we have deep appreciation for him. Steve Dennis, John Hartwell, and Jeremy Mcclain. Those are 9 outstanding men and outstanding leaders, and today we have the opportunity to appoint number 10 in that storied history of ADs. We had the deepest applicant pool we've ever had, which is a tribute to Jeremy and to John and all the others who have laid these bricks, one brick at a time, over the years. But let me tell you what the search committee would tell you at this point. We did a great job because we had great leadership, and that great leadership was Doug Patterson, who processed this whole thing from beginning to end. Doug, stand up and let us say thank you for a job well done. Now, the headhunting firms in America won't like what I'm about to say, but we've been through processes that where you've paid $50, $75, or $100,000 to a firm to get your candidate. We didn't do that. We didn't do that. So we can save that and invest it in that field that Senator Dial was talking about. It was superbly handled, and I really thank Dr. Patterson for his leadership. That applicant pool was deep. We had sitting ADs at all levels, including Division I, that wanted to be part of this experience at Troy. We had senior associate ADs from 5 major conferences. We had executives from different fields of professional athletics. We interviewed 6, and at the end of that process, we concluded that all 6 of those candidates will, at some point in their career, be a Division I AD. That's how qualified that pool was. But the gentleman we selected as a proven performer at Division I. When all was said and done, we looked at his background at Ole Miss, Georgia Southern, and Southern Miss, and we looked at what he had been able to accomplish here at Troy University in a very, very brief time. And I might say that Brent Jones would be the first to tell you that it's the team that surrounds him that's made his record look good, including another gentleman I met, Jeremy, Kyle George, who I knew that you had an agenda that night. I just couldn't figure out what it was. But he introduced us to Brent, and Kyle, he knew in the back of his mind what he was going to do given an opportunity, and he did it. And he brought talented people. And it's talented people you must have to be successful. We're very proud of Brent. He has served as Deputy AD for External Operations. You know, and from the day I walked into Troy in 1989, one index that I've monitored to determine if we're successful or not, and as small as this example may be, it's one of my measuring sticks. How many of our students are wearing Troy paraphernalia? Some of you, Wiley and Nick, and those of you will remember in 1989, it was more often than not we saw students walking this campus with Alabama and Auburn and Florida State. And then we began to monitor. In fact, Coach Smart, the first opportunity that I had to make a point, one of the baseball players came into my office and he was selling tickets for a chicken roast. And I told him as soon as he went back to his dorm and took off that University of Florida shirt and came back with a Trojan shirt, I'd buy a ticket. Today we're all over the place, and it's because of some great work. During Brent's experience here, he literally tripled the number of retail outlets that handle Troy merchandise, and we've seen that as just one of those indices. He worked with Jeremy to secure over $6 million in guaranteed games. He worked behind the scenes, too, as I think about the coaches that we just appointed and are so proud of, Coach Lindsay and Coach Cross. Brent was involved in that, helping every step of the way. Brent is not new to athletics. He was an All-American student athlete. He graduated from Oglethorpe with a bachelor's degree, and then he did a graduate degree at Ole Miss. One of the main things, though, that he comes to this position knowing is the need for resources. He understands that. And let me just share with you what one of his references, Bill McGillis, and it was echoed by Jeremy several times, actually, when asked about Brent. He said, Brent has a revenue-generating mind. He wakes up every morning thinking about, and with big thoughts, thinking about how to increase attendance, increase donations, and how to sell more T-shirts. I knew when I saw that we had our man. I am delighted to introduce to you members of his family, including his parents, Randy and Gail Jones. Thank you so much for being here. His aunt and uncle, Gary and Scarlett Thompson, and most particularly, 4 of the greatest Trojans that we know. They are all in. I can promise you that. Everywhere I go to see the Trojans play, I see them. And it begins with Tracy, his beautiful wife, Peyton, and Jackson, his wonderful children. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the 10th athletic director at Troy University, Brent Jones.
Well, thank y'all for coming. It's an honor. It's a privilege. It's humbling. We've had 2 press conferences here in the last 3 months, and my former boss told me it's a mighty tough task to follow Chancellor Hawkins in speaking. So I will try to keep my remarks brief, but I do have some thoughts as well as some thank yous that I need to get to. First off, I'd like to thank Chancellor Hawkins. For this opportunity, for your leadership, for your guidance of this great university. It's a privilege of mine to be able to work hand in hand moving forward with you. So I appreciate that. Mrs. Hawkins, thank you for being so supportive of myself as well as my wife and the class and the grace that you display for Troy University. For our Board of Trustees members who are here as well as who might be watching, thank you for your leadership of this great university. For the search committee, I think you did one heck of a job. And I thank you for your support in this great opportunity. To the media, I've gotten a chance to know most of y'all over the last 2.5 years, and one thing that's always struck to me is how much you love to cover us, and it's a unique relationship where most of y'all are actually Troy graduates, and so I look forward to that as well. To our coaches and staff, Thank you so much for being here. It's about we, not about me, with the servant leadership mindset, and I appreciate everything that y'all have been able to do. To Sandy, thank you for over the last 2.5 months from an intern. I look forward to working with you for many years to come, hand in hand, as we grow this department. As part of that. Also, I have a few people that I'd like to thank that Chancellor Hawkins went ahead and mentioned. Tommy Mcclellan, who's the Director of Athletics at Louisiana Tech University. I called him this week, and he had to change a lot of plans to get here, and I greatly appreciate that. He also got up at 4 a.m. this morning, and I appreciate that even more, and drove all the way through here. It's going to be a 12-hour trip for him. But for a director of athletics at a Division I school to be able to do that, I've known Tommy for almost 15 years. He's more brother than friend, and he's part of the family. I also consider him to be one of the best ADs in America as part of that. I also have another person who is near and dear to my heart, Jeremy Mcclain. Jeremy and I've known each other for almost 8 years now. When he became my boss at Southern Miss, and I was already there before when he left Delta State. And we forged a very fast friendship built on trust, getting things done. When he had this amazing opportunity to come to Troy University, I ascended into somewhat of his role in taking his responsibilities. And almost 2.5 years ago, when we had this opportunity, Kyle George and myself, to come here, I asked him numerous questions about this, and this was home, and I appreciate this. Jeremy is a friend, a mentor, not just in this profession, but in life, and I greatly appreciate everything you've done. This is a tall task, big shoes to fill because of how you left this department. We'll be forever grateful for this, and personally as well. I'd also like to thank my first AD, whoever gave me a shot, Sam Baker. I'm not sure if I would have hired myself back then at that point, but he gave me at a very young age at Georgia Southern. He was the AD for almost 20 years at Georgia Southern. At a very young age, gave me an opportunity to lead a department and direct a lot of people. Richard Giannini, the former AD at ULM as well as Southern Miss, and now the executive director of the Bahamas Bowl. He hired me at Southern Miss and has become more mentor in life than boss was. He has literally changed the trajectory, him and his wife Gail, of my family, and I greatly appreciate him for what he's done. Probably the most unique statement ever that I've heard is that he was very disappointed that he could not be here today because he was in the Bahamas. So that's probably the first time we've ever had that happen. And then also thank you to Bill McGillis, the former AD at Southern Miss, who Jeremy and I worked with, and now the current AD at San Diego. Unlike Tommy and unlike Jeremy, he was not able to hop in a car and come on over to this, but to thank him for pushing me to levels that I did not know that were even possible and providing me the opportunity to really grow and excel. Now comes the tough part, talking about my family. I'd like to thank my aunt and uncle from coming over from Atlanta. Their two daughters are not able to be here, our first cousins. One was just married in Asheville, North Carolina, and the other one currently works at Georgia State. We won't hold that against her, but there, as we all know, as our athletic staff knows, there are no off days in athletics, and she could literally not get off for this as part of it. To my parents, who are my biggest supporters, my biggest fans, thank you so much. From Little League, from baseball, football, basketball, everything in between, from high school baseball games to East Cobb games to my college baseball games to collegiate summer games. My dad was 50 years old, and he was still throwing BP to me during the summer when I needed it. I'm not that old yet, and I can't imagine having to do what I put him through, okay? My mom's love, she was an administrator, a teacher for almost 30 years, and that's where I got my love of education as well as sports. They are my two biggest fans and supporters, and if anybody that knows anything about social media is on it, they obviously know my mom is my biggest fan because she comments on everything as part of that. But probably the biggest thing that everybody needs to know about my parents is this. They are Trojan Warrior Fund members, and they are season ticket holders. There are no comp tickets in the Jones household, okay? To my amazing and loving wife, obviously you are the better half of the Jones household. That is clear and apparent. I appreciate you. You're the rock. You allow us, Jackson and Peyton, to be able to be our best, and I thank you for this. To Peyton and Jackson, thank you so much. I love y'all more than anything. My work is y'all's world. Peyton, who is the biggest princess that I know, whose last 2 birthdays were held at Riddle Pace and Trojan Arena. Jackson is about to turn 6 late June, and he's been to 48 football games, okay, including having Christmas in Dallas, and wanted to know how Santa was going to come down. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all's level of support and love for Troy Athletics is undeniable. About Troy Athletics, as Chancellor Hawkins talked about, we have a long history of success, dating back from our NAIA days to Division II national championships to our unprecedented success in Division I. That will not stop. We will compete for championships. We will do it with honor. We will do it with integrity. We will do it the right way. And I'm so appreciative of our staff. As I look out and I see our staff, I'm humbled. Every day you have to make a choice if you get to or you have to. I get to come to work with y'all. I get to come and be part of this. I am humbled to be part of and work with our coaching staff, our student athletes. I consider y'all colleagues, and I thank y'all for coming up and showing up. We have a lot of work to do in the future, and I'm excited to dig right in with y'all. Also, Troy University Athletics is known for a lot of things. It's known for integrity. It's known for amazing facilities, great coaching staff, amazing student athletes, and our hardworking staff, and nothing of that is going to change. Chancellor Hawkins talked a little bit about this. Over the last few years, we've had unprecedented success, from APR to graduation rates to GPA to community service, community involvement, attendance in football, men's and women's basketball, softball, across the board, fundraising, corporate sponsorships, licensing. There's levels that have either never been attained or haven't been attained in a long time, and that's a credit to all of our fans, all of Trojan Nation, and we're going to need each and every one of you to continue that momentum. When I was going through this process, I talked a lot about trajectory and momentum that Troy Athletics has, and that's not just something that we say, we feel it, and I'm excited to be able to be part of this and to lead this department to even greater heights in the future. In short, the vision is simple. The mission is clear. We're going to compete for championships across the board. We're going to do it the right way, with integrity, with honor. But at the same time, we need every single person pulling in the same direction. We talk about one Troy all the time. That's 16 sports with one mission. But it's also Trojan Nation continuing to come together to make a difference. In the next few days, weeks, months, year, we'll be reaching out and asking for everyone to continue your support to make this program great. With that, I'll tell you this. It's always a great day to be a Trojan, and for me, it's especially proud. Thank you so much.